All right, hello again. Definitely a game where you feel a little bit better than you normally do. Let me put it this way: as a Browns fan, at least this year, that was easily the closest that I've ever been to feeling good the whole game. Sure enough, I was shouting at the game the whole time, and actually, I don't know if I explained this in any of my videos yet, why I even started making these videos. I'm not trying to become some kind of YouTube star or something. I could really kind of care less about that. But, my wife doesn't like being in the room with me when I watch these games. And in fact, several times this year, she's put me in the room with other people who like the opposite team, and it really just ruins my life. So, I do incredible tricks during the week to make sure that I'm free on Sunday, and nobody can argue that this is my time to watch this game. So I just basically am standing there swearing at the TV the whole time, jumping up and down, doing all kinds of crazy things. I literally just don't see my wife for several hours, but, of course, since nobody else is in the room to talk to except for the dogs and they don't reply, I've got all this energy and thoughts built up that I want to just kind of like rant about. So I was like, you know what, I might as well just start making these videos because other people out there probably are gonna, feel the same way. They gotta have that idea of sympathy for us Browns fans, or at least, if they are a Browns fan, maybe they'll kind of feel like they share in my ideas. They watched them. In fact, I keep toying with the idea of just recording the whole game and then clipping my reactions to certain plays, because I'm assuming it's probably somewhat entertaining and probably would help even more for people to kind of go back to the game themselves and go, yeah, I remember that happening. But in the meantime, got my trusty notebook because I can't remember everything. I went ahead and started making a list of classic Browns moments because let me just define a Browns moment first off. A Browns moment is a moment where almost everybody, maybe even including Pee Wee League players and coaches, would have made a decision, and then the Browns just went ahead and did the exact opposite. Or sometimes it will be like a play that seemed like it should have been good, but just turns crazy because of the Browns. That's how you can typify the Browns moments. But three people in the beginning of the game converged on Wentz, two of which had basically just sandwiched him to the ground, but somehow, because he's just a big guy, he was able to get out and scramble a little bit. But it really didn't matter because we beat him so much with all of our rushing all day long, really. We sacked him 3-4 times maybe. It was just like constant. And the announcers were saying it. They were just trying to find people to bring in to hit him at this point because everybody was having a party, which led to the game kind of feeling a little bit nice to watch. The Browns defense, which is normally terrible, came back and actually looked good. But back to that moment anyway. We do get him in a sack. Meanwhile, Sendejo's over here in the background. Who knows what he's thinking or doing? He's taking out his frustrations on some random rookie, just jamming him to the ground. Oh, 15-yard penalty. All of a sudden now it doesn't matter how much we just beat everybody and just got to Wentz and got him down, because now we're going to give him first down. That's a Browns moment. That's classic. That's classic. It's as classic as when, Freddie Kitchens had us on the 1-yard line, ran the ball 3 times, couldn't get a yard, got a penalty to restart all the downs, and we just continuously ran it and still couldn't get that yard. That's what it was. That's what this is. So that moment, and actually later on in the game too, but to a lesser extent, when they were running that pass around the outside, and for some strange reason, Landry decided he would do some kind of like flip move, like this was like a Hail Mary at the end of the game, hook and ladder. We're going to try to make sure that we just keep everybody on their toes, lateraling it back and forth over and over and over again until we get it in there. But no. Don't stop doing that. Why are we risking it? This is just like the other day when I had pointed out in one of my videos that he's out there doing this thing with the ball like this, like, oh, and fake some people out. No, you're not. You're not a quarterback. These guys understand that you're not a quarterback. So the chances of you throwing just probably not going to happen. Anyway, so one thing I will say here, and this is kind of something funny I thought during this game, with quarterbacks, some of them had these like certain skills, these certain moments, these certain things that kind of just defined them as a quarterback. And, of course, with Nick Foles, it was the Philly special when he ran that quick play there at the end, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. With Peyton Manning, in his Super Bowl moment, it was the strip sacks that he actually really wasn't related to, but, basically that was the skill he used to win that. But Baker, in this season, has found that with no fans around, he can scream pretty loud. And with his different counts and stuff, he's getting people to jump. Every game, he gets at least a couple people to jump. It's kind of funny, really, because it's like when somebody at the schoolyard had tried to check the ball and bounced it off your shoes and then ran and caught it and said shoe shine or something, like this is something that really shouldn't keep working, but it does. And I'm kind of here for it, it'd be great if somehow all the moons aligned and the Browns got into some kind of playoff scenario, and at the very end of the game, it came down to that 2-3 yards away, and Baker Mayfield shouts out loud, gets somebody to jump off, and I can point back to that moment that, hey, I told you guys, this was the secret thing that Baker Mayfield does. Because as we see, it's not running. I mean, he got one run that actually went for a first down today, but there were 2 different times he could have handed it to a running back who was more than capable of running, and he just decided to take it himself. Quarterbacks run when either they're A, elusive, or B, are so close to the goal line that they can literally just fall on top of their center and slide in. Not when you're 10, 15 yards out. Kareem Hunt, who's amazing at what he does, can just go straight up the center, and you're keeping the ball or run around the outside. What are you doing that for? You got little bird legs. You look like those little birds in New Zealand. I mean, I think I even said it on another video. You're like, no, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. As soon as people see you moving, these big guys can come to you much quicker than you can get away. So stop doing that. I'm done watching him try to rush. Lucky he got one today. But, just stop, dude. You're going to get crushed. Joe Burrow, by the way, I said it in one of my other videos, you keep letting this guy get hit all year long, he's going to either regress or he's going to get injured. Today, he got erased. He might not be back for the rest of the season. And now what? You're going to, in the offseason, try to plan to have him, operate an offense based on what are you going to, get a different coach to come in? What are you going to do? What next Cleveland move are you going to do here? Because so far, with your management of Joe Burrow, it's very reminiscent of Baker Mayfield. Bring him in, let him get slaughtered a bunch of times, and then try to build the offense around that. And look where we're at now. I'm still not really liking Baker Mayfield at all. We could win all these games, and I'm not comfortable with him doing what he does. And it's funny, he's playing in the rain, so he's got infinite excuses for overthrowing or whatever. How can you miss a guy who's in the back of the end zone and it's only a 5-yard throw? I complained in the last video. How can you not throw it out of bounds when you're right next to the end zone? Because you're not thinking. How can you not hit a guy who's by himself running to the corner? That is one of the most basic throws for a quarterback. And he overthrows him. He sails him. He threw it short on a guy. He threw it over on a guy. He cannot throw. I'm done with this guy. Let's just keep playing it out, I guess, if we're going to keep winning. I'm not even watching the overtime right now because I want to get you guys the freshest reactions on this. That way people can't tell me I stole this off of somebody else's analysis. But I'm sure right now if the Baltimore Ravens lose and then they end up being 6-4 and we're 7-3, there's going to be all kinds of craziness going on this week about people that are like, oh, they don't deserve it, they don't deserve it. Well, we got here. It happened. I don't really like what I've been seeing, and I don't think that we really should even be in the discussion of a team that's got twice as many wins as we have losses, but here we are, 2020, guys. Vernon. All right, let me just say Vernon, first off. This guy was supposed to come in and be the other side of Garrett, and he was injured a few times this year, and he hasn't really been a steady force with Garrett out there. And of course, the offensive line today was allowing all kinds of stuff, but the name you just kept hearing was Vernon. Here's a guy who, without Garrett, seemed really effective today. With Garrett, he should be much better. And I'm kind of wondering almost, is it because now they're allowing him to play different coverages? We finally have our safeties healed for once. Carl Joseph's finally back. He's finally doing stuff. Sendejo all of a sudden just can be the tackle guy. He can be the guy he's always wanted to be. He doesn't have to drop into coverage too much and be that guy. He's just like the stopgap because now we have other people. So we can continue to get better. There's stuff to build on there defensively, but man, what is our offense? Is it the rain? I mean, is it just that like without OBJ, we're really just a lost team? I mean, I don't know. We're not scoring anything. If it weren't for the defense, we would have lost this game, 100%. For their stops, for their scores, if Carson Wentz wasn't in a giving spirit, a go Christmas spirit, just gift wrapping these balls all over the place. I mean, the Browns, they can't even catch interceptions that are thrown right to them. So if they're intercepting the ball today, like several times over, then that means that Carson Wentz has just got to be really ashamed of himself. I will say, going back to that play, it's one of the notes I've written down here. I guess I hadn't really thought about it, but going back to that play where they were about to run the ball in and Baker decided to keep and run around. He got maybe like 3 yards. This is after Nick Chubb had just ran the ball for, I don't know, 1 million yards or something. And so the defense was just tired, just worn out, just basically ready to let someone walk right in on them. And Hunt was in the game. He was ready. He was about to shoot that gap. It was almost a classic Browns moment where I'm just sitting there thinking, boom, Hunt's going to take this in. And then Baker keeps. And I'm like, oh, crap. This is where we normally would see Baker falls over and breaks his leg and drops the ball, and then the other team gets it and runs back all the way and dances around in the end zone. And I just remember that my team is not a team that's going to close out a game. But we did. We closed it out. So I think by my counts, we haven't lost a game in several weeks. I mean, I'm maybe including the bye week in that, but still, as a Browns fan, I'll take anything. So, yes, you're going to hear all week, this is a game we should have won, and yes, our offense really didn't look that great, despite the win. But it was a win, and I'm actually seeing some things on the defense that kind of give me hope. Maybe when Garrett's back, we can be a full roster, and maybe Vernon can get people, off the double team. Because you know that Garrett's always going to draw more people, and so Vernon's going to just be by himself on an island. And, if we're not really worrying about him having to do anything coverage-wise or drop back for a tackle, we're just bringing more pressure, I could see it being more effective. But sure would have been nice to see Myles Garrett in there today. I mean, it would have Carson Wentz would be seeing ghosts like Sam Arnold. I actually said that before the game to myself, of course, because nobody watches these games with me. But I said, man, if we can keep hitting him like this, or if we can just get to Carson Wentz like we're expecting to, he might be seeing ghosts like Sam Arnold. Sam Arnold. But, yeah, I mean, another solid game, I guess. Solid in parentheses as far as we're concerned. That's, on the scale of Browns' efforts, a solid effort. But probably wouldn't, expect to see this same thing happen every week. I really hope maybe we can see another game without torrential rain and, whipping winds, so we know we look like this far into the season. But we're winning these games, and our record's still looking all right. So at this point, we would really have to kind of fall off track to not get into the playoffs, I'm feeling. But who knows? I mean, Cleveland, everything could change in a minute. We could look like the worst team ever. We could literally ride out the season with the worst stats all of a sudden, and it just wouldn't even surprise me. So hang in there, guys. We're getting it done. We're getting something done. I just hope it's something that gets us where we need to be.